All right, so today we're diving into a pretty wild idea from the ancient Avatamsaka Sutra. It's all about the act of giving, or what's known as dana. And trust me, this is a philosophy that's going to push us to rethink everything we thought we knew, not just about charity, but about the very idea of owning things at all.
So, right off the bat, the text we're looking at hits us with a really powerful question. What is the true limit of generosity? I mean, we usually think of it as, donating a certain percentage of our income or maybe volunteering some of our free time. But what if it goes way, way deeper than that? And that's exactly what we're going to get into.
You see, this whole philosophy kicks off with a massive mental shift. For most of us, right, our resources, our money, our skills, whatever, they're for our use, for our security. But the Bodhisattva's view, it completely flips that script. It says, nope, everything you have is actually a tool. And it's not a tool for you, it's a tool for awakening and helping others. I mean, talk about a radical way to see the world.
So you might be asking, why? Why push for such an extreme level of giving? Well, it turns out this whole path is designed as a direct answer, a kind of antidote to what this philosophy sees as a core human problem. And that problem is attachment.
And when the text talks about attachment, it's getting really specific here. We're not just talking about, wanting nice stuff. This is a deep, fundamental clinging. A clinging to our possessions, sure, but also to our self-image and even to our own life. And according to this worldview, that clinging, that's the real root of all our suffering.
So this clinging, it tends to show up in three main areas. First, our attachment to property, our stuff. Second, our attachment to our own body. And then there's the deepest one of all, our attachment to life itself. The entire path of giving that we're talking about, it's basically a system designed to dismantle these attachments, one by one. And the really fascinating thing is, this isn't some random, chaotic process. Nope. The text lays out a very systematic 10-step system to guide this whole journey. It's literally called a ladder of giving. Now you can kind of group these 10 levels into 3 big stages, and each one gets a little bit harder. It all starts with the most tangible stuff, material giving, wealth and possessions. From there, it moves into the social world, giving up power and status. And then the final stage, that's all about giving away the intangibles, the real treasures of wisdom and culture. So that first stage, material giving, is symbolized by something pretty awesome, treasure carts. I mean, the text literally describes giving away these beautifully decorated chariots just overflowing with gold, silver, and all kinds of jewels. This is the starting point, right? Learning to loosen our grip on the stuff we can actually see and hold. Of course, the point isn't actually about chariots. It's a powerful metaphor for being able to give away our most precious worldly things without even hesitating. All right, so the next step up the ladder is power, and its symbol is a king's throne. And you can imagine, for a lot of people, this is way harder than giving away money. This is about letting go of status, of authority, of that need to be in control. The whole idea is to stop thinking of power as something that's yours, and start seeing it as just another resource, one that should be used for the benefit of all. And that brings us to the highest form of giving, which involves what the text calls the open treasury. But check this out. This treasure isn't gold or jewels, it's wisdom. It's the act of sharing knowledge, sharing the teachings and insights that can actually help other people find their own path to enlightenment. And in this way of thinking, that's the ultimate gift, right? Because its impact is literally endless. But here's a really crucial part of all this, the mindset. This isn't supposed to feel like some painful, grudging sacrifice. The text says over and over again that this kind of giving has to come from a joyful heart, without any fatigue. It's supposed to feel like a happy release, not like you're carrying some heavy burden. All right, so this brings us all the way to the top of the ladder, to the final step. And honestly, this is the most shocking part, the one that pushes this whole concept to its absolute, mind-bending limit. Just think about that for a second. If you've given away all your wealth, all your power, all your wisdom, I mean, seriously, what is left? What else could you possibly have to offer? Well, the 10th and final level is this, even giving one's body to save all beings. That's it, the ultimate act of letting go, giving away your own physical self. You see this idea pop up in a lot of classic Buddhist stories. You know, the one about the prince who feeds his own body to a starving tigress and her cubs. Or the king, who literally cuts flesh from his own leg to save a dove from a hawk. Now, and this is really important, these aren't meant to be taken as literal instructions. They're powerful, symbolic stories meant to show what the absolute peak of selfless compassion could even look like. And that really gets to the true goal of this whole practice. The point is not self-harm. It's not about martyrdom at all. It's about the complete and total eradication of the ego. That whole concept of I, me, and mine. You could almost think of it as a kind of psychological ego death. The whole aim is to get to a state of compassion that is so profound, the line between your own well-being and everyone else's, it just completely vanishes. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. This sounds incredibly abstract, maybe even a little crazy. So the big question is, how can we possibly apply this ancient philosophy to our lives today, without literally feeding ourselves to tigers? So let's try to distill this down. I think there are 3 big takeaways for us today. Number 1, changing how we view our resources. Number 2, turning our work into a kind of offering. And number 3, putting that compassion into actual, concrete action. So let's look at that first one, changing our view of resources. It can be as simple as shifting the question we ask ourselves every day. So instead of always thinking, what can I get from this situation? What can I get from this job or this relationship? We can start asking, what value can I create for others here? It's a small change in words, but a huge change in perspective. And this really brings us right back to the core motivation, the why behind this entire philosophy. The reason for every single step on this ladder, from giving away one tiny thing all the way to that ultimate sacrifice, it's all captured in this one phrase, for the sake of saving all sentient beings. It is the ultimate pivot away from the self and completely towards the good of everyone. So I want to leave you with a final thought, a question to carry with you. This philosophy challenges us to look at everything we have, our money, our skills, our time, and see it not as our personal property, but as a toolkit for good. And if that's true, then the only question that really matters is, what will you create with it today? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.